Hello, my name is Paul, and welcome, fellow Mythrunians, to another weekly live stream where I code bugs in front of you and you guys can laugh at me. Now, where you can ask questions and we can have chats about Mythruna and all things related to whatever we decide to talk about. Before we get started, let me thank the patrons. You guys rock. SimSilica might actually earn a profit this year. I don't know. All right, before we get too far, let's just go ahead and get started. Without further ado, today, let me make sure I've got okay, cool. Everything's already going. All right, great. So today we're going to work on random encounters. So, let's see, random encounters. So what do we want? We want to say when a player nears a new area, randomly generate some mops. Right? So as we wander around the world, if you imagine these, being a grid of, from the top, grid of, Minecraft will call them chunks. I call them leaves, columns. Anyway, as we get near there, we approach a new one, we would look around and decide what random stuff should generate there. And today we're going to be looking at basically any block, any cell of the world that has a flower in it will randomly spawn a butterfly. That's the way we're going to do it. Let me catch you up on what I've done. Last weekend I actually did not have a productive weekend because Saturday was spent all day doing theater related stuff for my high school senior, and then I had a piece of my tooth come out, and so Sunday I tried to work on swinging tools and stuff, but my brain just wasn't working right because I was constantly, basically the tooth itself didn't hurt, but there was a sharp place that kept cutting my tongue up, and that made it hard to concentrate. And so I'd hit problems, and I was getting depressed because everything seemed like insurmountable issues that were coming up, etc. So if you've joined the live stream, go ahead and say hi. Once again, up in the upper left corner is where you can download the latest build, and that's the password. Let's slide this out of the way. So yeah, I've been playing around with the butterflies today. So we've got a bunch of them flying around, trying to give them a little lift. They're currently kind of funny because when they go to idle, they just immediately drop. They can fly up, but not down. So you see them fly along, boom, directly to the ground. But they do, oh man. Well, I was able to get into the dentist on Monday afternoon, and they put a filling in, and that was all good. And then I slept the Novocaine off, and when I woke up, suddenly everything was so clear. See, look, the butterflies fly, and then when you decide, yep, boop, drop. I think it's hilarious. Anyway, one of the things I hit on Sunday was I was playing with tool swinging, right? So you do like this, and the tool swings. And last week, it was swinging much faster, but I decided that was actually kind of too fast. And what I discovered was, one of the things that happens is when you hit if you were to hit this, it moves the player over like this, and that's not realistic. For one thing, we're not using any force in the axe that would push us to the side because we are the force behind the axe. Our physics body would never move, and so part of this is it's a physics simulation, so we don't have all those details. And so I started thinking of how can I fake it. The other thing is, and so I added let me open my test one real quick. I added some things like test spheres, so I can place these big giant balls. Here, let me make sure that it doesn't get dark on us. So the idea being, if I was to come up here, I hope I haven't broken this. If I was to come up here and swing the axe at this, even though it's pretty sizable, it would go flying off in that direction, right? But that doesn't happen. It moves a little, I move a little, and that's not right. And so I started looking at, you know, what do I have to do with the physics contact to make these right, collect damage, figure out, you know, these are the things that I need to come up with the tool. You know, when I smack the wall like this, you know, first of all, how do I, yeah, so we got all that debug information coming out. Like, how do I keep myself from sliding over? How do I determine that that's an impact, how much damage it did, and so on? And so I started looking at the contact information for when I hit, and it was discouraging, first of all, because I had cases where first I put this thin pole up, and my axe would pass right through it. Like, you couldn't actually chop it. Yeah, the axe would pass right through. Sometimes it still does. But let's see. Yeah, so anyway, that's one issue. That is a semi-solvable problem, and it's a problem with the physics engine in general. Just all physics engines have this issue, and they solve them in different ways. Hopefully you guys can still see what's going on, because YouTube again is telling me that it doesn't work. And then I did with this one, with the sword to sword, I just kind of plopped this fake sword in the middle of nowhere, and I would routinely drop through there. Like, it would just pass right through like nothing happened. So I slowed the axe down a little bit. The other thing is, when you were hitting a wall like this, I'm like, okay, let me look at the contact when we hit and see what I can do with that information. Well, you can see the data pouring down in this bottom window down here. When we hit a broad face like this, we actually get like 7 or 8 different contacts. And that is because this axe head is actually made up of lots of little blocks, and we get a contact for every one of those blocks. And because it penetrates a bit, we get for the next block behind that as well. As it penetrates the stone. And man, on Sunday, that was enough to make me want to like quit, because I'm like, how do I solve that problem? I like, everything I came up with just kept getting more and more convoluted. And so I poked at some things and put some more debugging in and tried to, you know, do some design work and thought about it, but constantly cutting my tongue up. And so Monday I, you know, went to the dentist, slept it off, woke up, and instantly realized that all of those little contacts are actually useful to me. I need every one of those, because that's how I know that the entire axe blade hit. Because if I just chipped it with the corner, if I just barely chip it with the corner, that's different than if I chop it full on with the full axe blade. And that's more important when you think about the sword. If I'm just like grazing this with the tip of the sword, that's way different than if I broadside hit the whole thing, right? So that's actually a good thing. I just needed to rethink about how I deal with all those contacts. And so each one of those little things will cause a certain amount of damage. So in total, when you come up and you swing your sword at this, you know, how far you penetrated, all these different things will when's it coming out? In the future. There's still a lot to do, right? At any rate, so now, like, most of the time, these two swords will hit together, and that's not really what I was concerned with today. The penetration thing I have to work on, and there's a variety of physics engine ways to solve that. And when you write your custom physics engine, yeah, but there's a new version. So, you know, 12 years ago, my wife had brain cancer, and that kind of derailed development. And over the years, I've been working on the new engine in such a way that it's sustainable. It's got open source underpinnings. So there's going to be a lot of code that's open source. A lot of it's specific to Mythruna. And I've been making a lot faster progress over this last 2 years. So hopefully I can get it into some kind of alpha pre-alpha state up on Steam within the next year. That's the goal. So where was I? Yeah, so yeah, physics engine. Well, you can download it now. You can download this version if you want to play with it. Up there in the upper left corner, you can download that version if you haven't already. That's the one I released at the beginning of January? Yeah, in the middle of January. There's going to be another one at the end of February. That's the goal. And it'll have, I want it to have butterflies. I want it to have basic tool swinging. What I want is to have the axe be able to chop wood. So if I can get that done, that'll be excellent. But the primary goal is to get some more mobs in the game to add a little bit more life. We've got these NPCs that wander around you can get quests from. But I want the butterflies to fly from flower to flower and so on and so forth. So that's what we're going to work on tonight. There's a... so it was nice I finally found some flowers in the town that I didn't place down manually. At least I'm pretty sure. So the idea being, there are these... we go into the debug settings and I turn on the grid. Right, you can see the world is made up of this grid. When we cross these grid boundaries, the game knows certain things, the server knows certain things about us, right? When I cross this boundary, that activates the AI 2 cells over. So if I was to fly across here and there was AI in this cell, it activates, even though I can't see them. I can only see them like 1 cell away, or whatever it is, however many cells away I can see the mobs walking around. One more cell than that is where we activate the AI. And so what I want to do is when those cells are activated, I want to run some scripts to decide if we spawn mobs there. So there's 2 kinds of mobs, or wild mobs, right? There's 2 kinds in the design. Let me pull up my thing again. 2 kinds of mobs. Random encounters. Environment based. And then, what do we want to call them? The sort of long-lived, the automatic, strike through really bugs me. Let me go ahead and exit out of here because we're going to need to do some things in a minute. So 2 types of mobs, random encounters, environment based. So these are things like butterflies, rabbits, pure prey style bugs. Just basically environmental stuff. Similar, so similar to the way the plants are randomly spawned, right? And then you have your actual mobs. Live a long time, have real lives. Okay, so these are NPCs, predators, mob generators. So there's going to be certain kinds of mobs that come from generators. They may not look like generators, but that's basically what they are. They exist if you destroy them, then mobs don't appear there anymore. But predators like wolves, horned bears, different things that they will have lives. They will go to sleep when they sleep. They will wake up when they wake. They will hunt when they hunt. And so these basically are part of the environment, and these are the other mobs you need to be concerned with. And there will be things that eat the butterflies, things that eat the rabbits, and so on and so forth. So if you manage to destroy your environment to the point, that's why this is environment based, right? If you get rid of all your flowers everywhere, you will never see butterflies again. If you get rid of all of your grass and trees and stuff, you will never see rabbits and birds. And consequently, your predators will die off, or they'll find other ways to feed themselves. If they get really hungry, they'll start trying to eat you. And so these kind of interactive systems that you build sort of immersive behavior. That's the idea. And so we're starting with random encounters because it's the easiest to implement now because I don't have to put smarts in them. We've already got butterflies. I have an idea for something like rabbits that's not rabbits, and they'll actually eat the butterflies, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, so different things, sheep and other things or Gayfin, wild Gayfin, that kind of thing, based on the environment. So today we're implementing these environment encounters. Bunnies, yeah. So what we want to do, there's already a system in place that activates the AI. So if when we wander too far away from those NPCs, they go into sort of low detail mode, which means that if they had a daily schedule, they would still follow that daily schedule, but they're not going to do all the individual actions to make that happen. So instead of walking to work, they'll just teleport to work, that kind of thing. So if you came to them, they would be in the right place, but they didn't waste the engine's time. These are infinite worlds. The always the primary driver, right? Primary driver, infinite worlds. Infinite worlds, managing processing, right? Yeah, that's true. And so basically, I don't have to worry about, if you ran your own dedicated server, you would have to worry about that because, the other thing is in Ultima Online, so I take a lot of cues from Ultima Online. I never played it, but I loved the idea and I played all the Ultima games. I just knew that was going to be addictive, and so I stayed away from it. But I know all about it. I've read about it, and I know the what you're talking about. That actually was a problem in some of the Ultima games too. They tried to build in environmental systems. The thing is, they didn't do so much random encounters. They tried to make every animal, basically actual long-lived things. And so if you went and you killed all the butterflies, they were gone. I will at least random spawn them. So if you replanted trees, if you replanted flowers, these guys would come back, right? And then you could build up the world again. So you can repair or destroy. That's the thing. These worlds are up to you. You can do whatever you want to them. That's part of your story. If that's the story you want to tell, if you want to burn the forest down and have everything die, then that's up to you. Servers may want to limit that. If you ran a dedicated server, you may care about that, but the game itself will let you do whatever. The idea, anyway, is that you can do whatever screwed up thing to your world you want. It's your story. You tell your story the way you want to tell it. At any rate, so the primary driver behind all of my stuff is that this is an infinite world. I cannot manage an infinite number of NPCs. So what do I do to build the systems, so that you can come across a town that you haven't been to in months and it feels like it has been alive the whole time and not just suddenly left off where you left it off, kind of thing. So let's get started. What I need, so I already have a system that activates the NPCs and other, AI quote unquote mobs that are around when you get too near and too far. And so what I wanted to do was hook into that. Like we see as players move around, they acquire the zones within whatever the XZ radius, which I think is set to 2. Yeah, because I think game constant zone radius. So game constant zone radius. Am I not seeing it? Yeah, so 1, and so I got 2 different things I'm working on right now, which is why so many things are open. I've been trying to clean up my open files list before the live stream. So we activate the AI with one more radius around that, and so when it's a radius of 1, that means our center radius plus one cell around us. Let me draw this for the people who are having trouble following along. Where is my, there's, whoops. So that's fine. Let's just go over here. So you, the player, is in here. This is the cell you're in. A radius of 1 around that is here. And so that is each of these being a 32 by 32 meter block. And so this is the area where you can actually see the AI and any objects. And then one more than that is where we activate the AI so that it starts doing its thing, NPCs start walking for real. And beyond that, they go to sort of a scheduled AI, which when the scheduling is in place, that means the schedule might put them in here and then they would start moving around. But the idea being that if that NPC is walking, it might walk into the range where you can see it. And so we're managing sort of level of detail. But because of that, whenever we enter, whenever one of these columns, as I call them, get added to the active column set for the first time, which is what we're saying here, when the zone is acquired, this is the first acquisition. That's where we can redo our filtering. But here's where we want to trigger random encounters, right? And then when the zone is gone for real, we want to remove random encounters. These don't go to sleep, they just go away. So that basically the game doesn't have to manage them if they're not around. They are effectively a special effect. And they are a resource like any other plant that grows, any grass that grows, butterflies, bees, any kind of insects, birds, they'll all be sort of resources. They're part of the environment. So when we're not around them, they don't exist. And when we're around them, we randomly generate them based on some criteria, which I hope to do through scripting. So right here, it would be really easy to add code. The tricky part is what I want to do is run a script. So we need to somehow run an action, probably on the world entity or something to that effect, that says this column has been activated. And so far, all scripts have been run on behalf of a player, which means they actually have a full up environment. So here's example, the trigger system where when the player walks around, because the player's walking around, we run these actions on behalf of the player. And so that's one thing I don't have yet. I don't have an action environment set up for the server itself. So I probably have to do that. So in the spirit of bad software development on the live stream, I will just implement it in place for now. Or maybe I won't. Let's see, where do I want? Okay, so I think it's down here. Oh yeah, so my machine crashed and everything closed. So I have to, character rig. Okay, so this is all the character stuff. Let's do it here. So we want to, this is part of the open source tools, MOS. If you are a patron, you get free access to this, early access, before I've released it. So this source code up, we've had a couple people take advantage of that. There's at least one person who was making their game based on that. So it's the action framework. This is what all the Mythruna scripting is based on, this action library. And so one of these things is an action environment, which is what oh, that's nice. All we need to do is implement activator. And activator has no requirements, as I recall. Yeah. So maybe we don't have to do much. So when you run an action, you have to have like an environment within which to run that, so that any kind of prompts it has to send back, it can send or show options to the player and so on and so forth. But it might not always be a player running these actions. And that is the prey animals need to stick around for the predators, right? Well, yes, that's true. But that becomes so as soon as you leave this, as soon as so let's say you have a wolf, and I'm going to draw a little stick figure wolf, right? Well, okay, that's worse than I intended it to be. So like chompy, right? Anyway, so you have a little stick figure wolf. As soon as you walk over here, that wolf goes into low level of detail mode, and his existence is no longer hunting specific rabbits, right, or hunting specific prey. His AI goes into a lower level of detail that says, does the environment still support me? If so, I can continue to live. So I don't need to generate the rabbits for him to eat until he is back into high level of detail. So when I enter this area, I generate the random rabbits for him to eat, because this is where he lives, and he becomes active again and then chases them. But when I'm gone, he's in low level of detail mode, which means when I come back, I can see, say I come back 10 days later, would the environment have supported this wolf for 10 days? Was there the flora to support the fauna that he needed to survive? And if not, then I would basically kill him, right? You would find a wolf corpse somewhere. He didn't have enough to survive, or he'd be super hungry and he'd come immediately attack you, kind of thing. But that is the idea. Of course, none of the scheduling in low-level AI has been implemented yet, but that's been designed. And so that sort of answers your question. Anyway, back to this. So I need to make an activator for the engine itself, and this should be centralized at some point, but for now I'm just going to see how we do it for... I get off on cool tangents and I forget what I was doing. So over here, for a player, I think we need to support at least the activator interface. Because certain things are going to want to get components from that. So and sort of the scripts may be limited. Let me see where I create this guy and this guy specifically. So this is how I do it for a player. Oh yeah, object types, create environment. Okay, so I need to be able to get the object types. The object types are available. The server sets them. I think that it gets the world manager, I bet. Game constants. Oh, I didn't even show you the other thing I added. I added the ability to have debug shapes. So from scripts or wherever, I can just plop an arrow or a box or whatever in the world just to point something out. It's just another kind of entity. Super convenient for debugging things visually. And that's how I'm going to end up debugging axe hits and things, to make sure I've got the tool velocities set correctly and so on. What was I doing? Oh yeah, world manager. So world manager should have... Who has the object types? That's not 100% in the... So let's do a little grepping. Object type registry. Who creates it? Just gets the game systems. Okay, no worries then. I probably could have found that in the system where I was looking. That means that this guy okay, so action, we will come back over here to the processor and we will look up the system, agent activation system. So, and I think it's, I believe, yeah, I think, did I cut and paste it? Yeah, I'm an idiot. Okay. So we need action over here. And so what I want to minimize the sin in here, and I will just send over action environment. So we will have action environment activator. Oops. Yeah, put that down here. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. 5 views total, but we've got only one concurrent viewer according to YouTube. So if it's you, Ron, thanks for hanging out. All right, so let's say we've got one of those action environments. Then our job is easy. Oops. Okay, so it's part of sim. Yeah. It's so much nicer when I'm not just talking to myself. So thanks for hanging out. Okay, so action environment, entity ID, we got entity ID. Yep. So we're good there, which means whatever environment we've run into, we ought to be able to just run. See, that's running the activator. Because the action environment is general. We are the activator. Okay, hold on. I need to understand something again. Yeah, we run against the target object, which in this case is going to be the world, which is also us. So, and yeah, so here, yeah, I need to cut and paste some things again. Little cut and paste programming. But this is going to be exciting because the anything I want to make, you know, swarms of flies, certain types of fish, are all going to be able to be spawned in this way, and it's a really kind of easy way to bring the world to life. Every new type of mob I add that just randomly wanders around does nothing special. It's just a matter of modeling it, adding it to this script. So when we create the activation processor, we need to give it the action environment. And the action environment, well, so first of all, object types equals Get system object type registry dot class action environment equals we need an activator, and so eventually I'm going to put this in its own system. But in the meantime, yeah, set prompt provider. Just going to kind of hack this into place here, which is why I was trying to minimize the sin. I think I have to give it some activator. Thanks. I didn't really look into it. Again, I'm concentrating on features. I do, I have done my own isosurface terrain before, and I have ideas on how I can mix that with, blocks like for objects. I just get so easily distracted. And all of the stuff I'm working on now, as far as mobs, AI, dungeon generation, all that stuff would still work. Very little has to change. So I'm trying to get game first, and then maybe there'll be, Mythruna 3 or whatever that has smooth terrain. And maybe not. Maybe that's its charm. It is frustrating though. Like, all of my mobs have to be able to traverse 1 meter blocks, which does make them a little interesting. Means some mobs I wouldn't want to give wings to, I have to give wings to, because there's no way it's realistic for them to be able to jump up a meter. Not for just typical traversal. What was I doing? Oh yes, activator. We need an activator. Private activator. And so I'm going to cheat. And we're going to... Let's open that up. So I think I want to use the world entity. I don't think I have an abstract activator, do I? No. So this is lame. I mean, I wanted to have some of this done before the live stream started, but I had to pick somebody up. And I had no time. Okay, so hopefully we can at least get the scripting hooked up. This is taking too long. I did it, didn't I? I accidentally hit the wrong key. Cleared my buffer. Okay, so for the moment, we are just going to return null from all these. That will be enough to get us in the door. Oops. I think I'm returning. Okay, yeah, so this one doesn't need to return null. Okay, so activator. We will want to do this eventually, but I don't need to do it right now, because essentially it's illegal to throw prompts from this particular script. Okay, so we action environment. Let me see what I haven't hooked up real quick. I still have to write scripts and things, but need a semicolon right there, I believe. Oh, yes. Always something. So I'm going to put that down here because I'm going to remove it as soon as the live stream is done. SimSilica math star. Is it math or math D? It's math D. Let's get a little further. Okay, so we got a little further. Oh, I should add action. What is this complaining about? Oh, agent activation processor. Ah. Okay, so that's going to be true. We definitely need that over here. And then, yeah, the block iterator intersection. Where do we get that? I think we get that from world. Not that. Find .world. Dash name. Boxstar Java. Block iterator. Yep. M world. Okay. So here. Another one I'm going to go back and remove later. What do I call it? Block iterator. I think that's... Come on. Come on, you can do it. Okay, so how do I get the world entity? Find, it's the dot dash name star.java xargs grep world entity. How do I get the world entity? It's world manager. How do I get world manager? I think world manager is a system. Parent system will tell me. When in doubt, find something that's already doing what you need to do. Okay, so like this. Yeah, see, this is all the wiring I wanted to have done already before the... Would have taken me about 20 minutes when I wasn't talking about it. I think... Oops, world entity. Okay. So I believe if we put this in here, that's all we need there. We'll see what I forgot. Okay. So we're good there. Nice. Nice. Yeah. This was kind of a... development has its ups and downs, right? The previous week was kind of an up because I was excited about how well the tool swinging and my ideas for, you know, activities and things were going. And then when I hit that, how's my new role been? At the new job, it's been good. I appreciate that I'm not like under the gun all the time for super important things, which allows me to focus on life. At any rate, this week has been kind of a downer Mythruna-wise because of the tooth thing, and then, you know, basically spending my life in contact physics collision math, which is barely it's just barely beyond my edge of understanding. So I kind of get it, but I don't 100% get it. So like playing with magic you don't understand is dangerous. Okay, so this should be okay. Then in the processor, we want to run an action like we're doing here. So I'm going to steal this code, put it over here. I think we want to leave this out. And just for now, just do this. So we already have our environment. Run action arrays as list args. Okay, so that'll be too verbose in the long run, but it works for now, and we have util already imported. We're good. And so activator, that's not really the activator. The environment has the activator, so args. I think that works. This needs to be action environment. Oh, I pass it in. Yeah, I do. Action environment right here. Okay. And I probably don't want to run this directly. I probably want to queue these up and run them later, like in the update loop, like here, peel off a few and run them. But for now, we'll just run them directly. Activate zone column ID. Deactivate zone column ID. Okay, and now we need to do something interesting, and that is turn the world entity into a scriptable thing. And so let's put that in base objects, or probably this needs to go into its own. I think I have a world APIs.groovy. So maybe we'll put it here for now. We will define a world object. So basically this is world. And we were going to add an actions. One of them called activate zone, and it takes a column ID and deactivate zone. Oops. Okay, so that sets up the type. Let's log so we can see if it's actually doing anything. And then I think we grab the world entity. Do we not? Let me just make sure. Nope, we don't. So this will be the first time. But we do grab the world manager. And so we can say world manager, world entity, new object type, no, object type info create world. So basically we're saying, hey, world entity, you are this object type, which is this, and that allows us to call things directly on the world. Oh, but that means, that means we do actually need to pass, because when we call, run action on activate zone, we're calling it on behalf of the world, but we're also calling it on the world. That's how it looks up what class it needs. So technically we could pre-look that up. And so what we want here, I think get ID. So it's the second parameter, action parameter T. How do I get the T? That would be there is no way to get the T. That is, yeah, so it's part of types, so it will be part of the activator though. Oh yeah, so I should be able to say action env get activator get ID entity ID. So that will call that on the world. Yeah, it's all a big mess. Okay, somebody else joined. Welcome to the party. I'll just get ID. Okay. Are we doing it now? Is it working? Can we try to run it? Yep. Okay, let's give it a try. So we should see a whole bunch of these spit out if it works at all. That's the other thing. By doing it where I've done it, I may mess with activation in general, because if it crashes, I haven't protected it from preventing other things from running. Come on. Super zoom. There we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, everything's dark, of course. Let me turn the lights up. Alright, so let's turn the settings on. Oops, wrong way. The grid, turn the grid on so I can see when I'm... Yeah, it's like, it's particularly bad here. Okay, so we crossed the grid boundary. Well, it didn't throw exceptions. That's always a good sign. Or it didn't even initialize. Activation process, run action. Deactivate zone, deactivate zone. Yeah. Yeah, so it's running our script. Should have gotten a bunch of activate zones. Yep. Activate zone. Nice. Okay, so it's running our script. and we can do things with that information. So one thing that probably we want to do, so it's nice to be right there at the border, right, is set it up so that I have a live script, so that I don't have to constantly be shutting the game down just to test things. But that means I definitely want to insulate the running of the action. So let's do this. Oops. Log error running action with comma E. Okay, so now at least if our script throws an exception, it's not going to kill all of the activation processing. Now, see, in here, I believe under server mods, I already have test mod.json quest dialog. Let's add random encounters test.groovy, and we'll make a script. Random encounters test.groovy. And then let me look at my quest dialog test. Yeah, so we're going to have test zone activation equals column ID, call ID, log info. And blink. Going to set this up. Okay. Now over in our other thing, we want to say in here, we'll say, what did I say? Test zone activation call ID, like this. Technically, I should be able to just call it directly without making the call. Like, I should be able to just do this. But I found when we redefine it at runtime, Groovy gets confused by that sometimes and says that no method exists or whatever, whereas this will always work because it's trying to dereference the binding, which is what we set in the other thing. And I know none of that makes sense to any of you, but so test zone activation, test zone deactivation, we pass the column ID. We probably should pass the session. Which is basically the action environment. And if we look over here at the quest dialog stuff, every single one of them did that. So we will do it too. So yeah, I don't need to hard type these. I can just. All right. So in theory, I ought to be able to edit this at runtime. Every time I pause for a long time without talking, it's because I'm taking a drink. I opened a new Pepsi right before the live stream started. I've still got it going, about an inch left. So I'm going to try to at least get to the point where maybe we can recognize when flowers exist or when they don't exist. I don't know. I had some better code that I was starting on before the live stream. Hey, look, that's a nice little moon up there. There's a mountain about to appear here. There we go. That's cool looking. All right, let's make it a little brighter outside. Okay, so we ought to see a whole bunch of stuff when I go like this. Do we see our test stuff? Server test mod. Yep. Yay. Okay, so now we can live script this stuff. And so the idea here would be we would pull up the leaf data for, the column data for this particular world column. I call it a column because if you think of the XYZ world, the Y, from a maps perspective, we deal in XZ, right? When I bring up a map in Mythruna, this is X, this is Z, and so we think of the world in sort of that 2D way. And so when we drill in here, there's these 32 by 32 little blocks in this 1024 by 1024 thing. And so each of those is a stack of, actually what would be clearer is to show you the grid again, right? So there's a stack of these 32 by 32 cubes, and a stack of those is what I call a column. In the world, it's a column in the XZ space, if you think about it, right? So you can kind of see there's the empty cell, each of these 32 by 32 cubes is called a leaf data, which is for historical reasons what I called it instead of chunk, because chunk was already associated with some other game, and I didn't want anybody to be confused. So this, square here, all of the leaves that stack up, that's a column of leaf data, and that goes all the way down to 0, all the way up to, whatever max Y is. So anyway, that's why that's called a column. And so we want to, when we add a new zone, which is a column, one of these big squares, we want to look from sky all the way down and see if we find flowers in this case. And because the only unfortunate thing is once I brought the map up, I cannot bring up any menu that's small anymore. They all take up the full thing. I should be nice if I could bring up the player menu without anything selected, just for these live streams. Okay, so now see if I close this, then that's at least the smallest one. But every time I bring it up, it's going to show all these stupid queries. Yeah, so maybe the map is the best anyway. All right. So, so we've got this space. We ought to be able to pull up see, the thing is, like, I was going to add stuff to be able to just load the column of the world, like that. But I didn't get a chance to add that yet. It would be actually get column data. So that means I actually have to load the leaf stack one at a time. I just want to prove that it's going to work before I cut the live stream off. And maybe always spawn a butterfly or something. Thing is, this code's going to get so much tighter when this is done. So max map height. I think game constants is part of the... Let's see, it'll tell us if it's not. Okay, let's see if that throws a bunch of exceptions. Nope. Okay, we're good. Okay. That's the nice thing about being able to run it without starting the game again. So then what we want to do is start from the top. Sorry, my neck was stiff. Y is greater than 0. Y minus equals 32. Okay. And actually, yeah. Let's call it lair. For reasons that will be obvious in a second. So leaf data, actually just say diff leaf equals world now this is y base. I really wish I'd gotten to, so world, so first of all we want a leaf ID, so def origin equals call ID get world. Alright, so leaf ID equals leaf ID from world origin add 0 y base 0. Okay, so let's just make sure I'm not off my rocker. The idea being that we'll start at the top and we'll work our way down each of those big 32 by 32 cubes. So we run forward, doink. Okay, so we should get different leaf IDs in each of these. Yep. Okay. So then leaf equals world. I think we just have it open over here. Get world leaf, or just get leaf because we've already got the leaf ID. I could have just, okay, I could have short circuited. All right, so get leaf ID, make sure that works. Okay, now this will be a little slower, which is why I probably want to put them not all in the same pass. But okay, so we get different leaf data. Good. There is a way to tell if a leaf is empty. Too many things open that look similar. Leaf data. If the leaf data is empty, then we'll skip it. If leaf is empty, continue. So that should cut down the number of leaves we process considerably. So we should, yep. So now we just got a few. All right. And so if we get here, want to int I equals 0, I is less than 32, I plus plus. Okay, and I'm going to do k next. Whoops. So these are x and z, if you want to think of it that way. And then for what you call it, for the y, the j in this case, we want to say 31. J is greater than or equals 0, j minus, because we want to stop as soon as we hit a real block. Cell equals leaf, get cell, ijk. I think that's it. Leaf data, get cell, ijk, yep. And then type equals mesh utils, that get type cell. So a given cell value has more than just the cell in it. It's also got which faces are visible, lighting value. No, not lighting values, but which faces are visible and some other information. So by masking off, it's not mesh utils, it's mask utils, right? Let's see. If type is not equal to 0, log info type. Let's do k equals type, and then break. So we hit something and we stop. All right, so that should, in fact, boolean done equals false, done equals true, if done, break. That's actually not accurate. This needs to be an int done equals 0, done plus plus. Yes, this isn't right. I'm kind of hacking it together, but I'm trying to decide if I've finished. I've got a whole solid layer. If done is greater than or equal to 1024, it should never be greater than 1024, then break. Right. Okay. All right, let's see what kind of mess we make. Ruh-roh. Somebody's unhappy. Did I kick an error out? Huh. Okay. So... maybe I didn't walk far enough. Yeah, that's what it was. Now we get a ton of errors. All right. Errors are better than nothing. Alright, so get type. Excuse me. Let's try again. Alright, we're getting tons of stuff. Okay, so it's basically showing us every time we get a... So what we can do... Alright, I'm not going to optimize this yet. But if we want to block type equals block type index type, and then we can block type name. Let's try that. And you'll see when I cross over this boundary, we'll actually see what the block names are. That's what we really want to see. Right? If we see flowers in there, that's where we'll generate a... So the problem... One of the problems is that even if I were to generate a butterfly every time we see, flora, basically, in this case, I really want to limit it to flowers, but let's just say I did for every flora block, every piece of grass, I generate a... we would have to walk through 2 cells to see it, and it's going to we're going to have to generate a whole bunch more, right? As we walk through new columns, it's going to generate the far column and the far column and the far column. So we kind of want to limit, I think for just testing we want to limit it, but it's working. And so this is where I would hook into, every time I see something that looks like a flower, I would run a dice roll and create an entity. But for now, what we could do is I could add debug entities since I added that capability. So let's take this out. If block type name dot name dot base flora equals block type name base. I think that's what it is. Let me just make sure. Nice thing about having this live load, yeah, so that'll do that. So what I'll do is everywhere we see one of those, I'll create an entity that lasts 2 minutes or so, that's just a little arrow that points down or something, right? So let's take this out. Def entity equals create entity. What do we say? New spawn position origin dot add I y base plus j k plus 1. No, actually this is fine. It might need to be a 2vec 3D. New quad D. Of course, every time I do this, it's going to generate new ones. New decay. Where did I do this recently? Here, in fact. Right here. Debug arrow right here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. Got that. We'll do this. I think we'll just have it point straight up. Red is fine. Decay is fine. Okay, so this is going to create a, let's say, shed load of entities. A veritable shed load. Uh-oh. Ah, yes. There we go. That should work. Okay. Drum roll, please. We are going to cross the boundary, see bad things happen. Bajoink. Oh, no. Could not find matching constructor for spawn position. Oh, yeah. So I need to make one, because that's really annoying to have to convert it to Vec 3D all the time. Okay, so we do that. Come back here, back up. Oh, we created a whole mess of entities. Okay. Yeah, look at them. If we keep going, check those out. So basically every... Uh-oh. It's not supposed to disappear, though. So I'm supposed to be able to get up to them. I don't know why they're constantly being... Yeah, because I can't even see. So for some reason, and I don't know whether that's a problem with my debug view that was working before or the entity creation, but those are getting created inside those flora blocks. So those are where, not in this case because none of these are flowers. And actually, maybe I'll still have butterflies, at least for now, rarely spawn on non-flowers. Maybe. But that's weird that it disappears as I get close to it. I don't know whether that's a problem with the visualization or... Huh. Anyway, I gotta find my debug area again. I think it's over here. Yeah, so... Anyway, it's working. And so we could... Instead... Now that we know that's working... We could just stand here until they disappear. Now that we know that's working, we could actually randomly decide on butterflies. So def rand random, that's fine. Double roll equals rand next double. Let's give them a 10% chance of spawning. And I'm going to cut and paste the code from... Yeah, I wonder if that log will ever catch up. So we'll cut and paste code from here. I think this will work. It may actually really want a full environment, but we'll see. I need to... Whoa. Hey, the log caught up. Okay, so... Oh yeah, so check it out. I did eventually get the mass to work, so I was able to set it back down to 0.1. And it's the low mass, it's the mass below 1 kilogram, that's why they can intersect with, yeah, so there goes all those shapes. That's why they can intersect with, that's how it decides that they can intersect with the flora, so that they can actually sit on top of the flora. Yeah, we're finally losing all those debug shapes. Alright, so we want to set loc to this. Yeah, I mean, the lines follow the terrain, so I'm going to assume they're correct. And we'll log this, creating butterfly at loc. Okay. All that's good, all that's good. Yep. In this case, session dot activator ID. That should work. If not, it's going to blow up hard. Okay, so let's go back over here to our flowers and cross the boundary. Whoops. Okay, something's not right. No signature method, integer call, values animal. line 41. Type animal. Oh. So there's already a type method defined, or global thing, which is unfortunate. Okay, so that should fix that. Okay, so let's flip around. We'll go the other way. Oh, did we create a bunch of butterflies? Oh, we're getting errors. Uh-oh, errors. What kind of errors? Cannot find clip name jog. Why are you trying? Oh, so that's a unrelated error. It created a lot of these things. Yikes. Let's see what's going on. Creating butterfly. Oh boy. Okay, so it apparently created a lot of them, but not as many as thought. Okay. Where'd the butterflies? We still gotta go one more. Wait, there's one. Thing is, like, yeah, they're all gonna fall through the world because we've, unless they're flying at this point. Because we've so badly gummed up the world, we spawned too many butterflies. But they're around. So a 10% chance is probably too much. And we're logging way too many things for that many of them to be generated anyway. So these need to be, the creation needs to be spread over several frames, which is a problem with this being called, 5 times a frame. These need to probably be queued up to be created over several frames. But a 10% chance is way too high, apparently. And so I think we're getting rid of them all now. But one thing we can do is exit out. And what will happen is then we'll change this to half that. When we... Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm basically done. I need to wrap it up. It's 10:30. It's basically working. It's just everything's overwhelming the engine at this point. So all of the things I knew were going to be a problem I need to resolve. So I think this is where I'm going to stop it. We saw butterflies appear. They were randomly generated. Thanks for joining. If you made it, I think there's just the one of you on now, but thanks for stopping by. And I will run my thanks. Like, comment, subscribe if you're not already. And check us out next week. Look forward to a Mythruna Monday video. Go up in the go back and look in the upper left corner. That's where you can also join the Discord. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks a lot.